Hello and welcome to Books and Beyond. I'm your host, Jimmy Bennett. Books and Beyond, the show we try to help people personify their aspirations. Today we're our show, of course. If you can look around, you'll see it's a little different. We're going to do the Beyond part of Books and Beyond. We got a little cooking show for you today. We're going to do a couple of hors d'oeuvres. I'm going to do a simple stuffed mushroom, sausage stuffed mushroom for you. And
I'm going to do some crab cakes.
Some crab cakes. This is Bryan Yemma, my boss and the culinary director at McQuade's. First thing, we want to thank McQuade's for letting us use the equipment and supplying us with the stuff we need. Great place.
Thank you again for having me on.
Yeah.
I love it.
So anyways, it's Christmas season, right? You got guests, you got people coming over. So we thought, well, a couple little hors d'oeuvres that it's easy enough to do, but, you know, people love them. It's that time of year, and I want to wish everybody a happy holidays and Merry Christmas and Feliz Navidad. All right, so we're going to start, I guess we'll start with the mushrooms.
Sure.
All right, so basically it's a very, very simple recipe. What you need is mushrooms. I would say your usual first, they call them food service mushrooms. You don't want them too big, but you don't want them the little tiny button mushrooms. That doesn't work good. And here we have some fresh ground sausage. This sausage we got at McQuade's. It's really great stuff. Fresh Italian sausage. That's about, believe it or not, that's about 4 ounces. And one thing I will tell you is you can use like 1 link or 2 links of sausages, you know, regular size Italian sausage, and it will make a ton of them. 15,
a little
20,
goes
25,
a long way.
Yeah, a little goes a long way. And you can play with it a little bit too. You can use different things. You can grind some linguiça into it or chorizo, or you can use hot Italian sausage if you prefer that, or chicken sausage. But that's all up to you. So, anyways, we have the ground mushroom here. Now, this is just a simple mirepoix. It's onions, celery, which is what I usually put in the mushrooms. But because it's Christmas time, I added a little red and green peppers, give it a little festive color. You want to put enough in there to mix it in, but you don't want to overwhelm it. And I've found that really it's just as easy to mix this with your hand as anything else.
So all the onions, peppers, and stuff are getting cooked when you're baking the mushrooms.
Yeah, when you bake the mushrooms. You want to fine dice. You can even use a food processor and run it through and puree it if you like. I like to have I like a fine dice because I like that crunch. I like a little texture to it. You know. So if you think you got enough in there, I see there's a little excess, but I'll just leave it off to the side, because I think that's good. It's got a nice, plenty of vegetables in there, but a nice solid consistency. So then we take our mushrooms, our regular food service mushrooms, wash it, but you want to cap them. You want to take the stem out of them, which is easy enough. You just pull the stem out. And then now, you don't want to use too much sausage because then the mushroom will overcook by the time the sausage is done, and vice versa. You don't want to use too little and then have the mushroom kind of uncooked. So we stuff them up like that. But like I say, this is a very, very simple recipe. It only takes you a few minutes. As you can see, it only took me a couple minutes. A little prep time with the chopping. But make this recipe your own too. You can put, like I said, different types of sausage in it. You can put different types of vegetables in there too. You can put chili peppers and anything else that you particularly like. And also, which I've done before, is cheese. You can put even any kind of either cheddar cheese, provolone, mozzarella. I found that smoked Gouda is real good in it.
You mix that in, or you melt it over the top?
Yeah, you mix it right in or melt it over the top.
Yeah. Oh, those look great.
I've done them both ways.
Can only imagine the the fat from the sausage, when you cook it, soaking into that mushroom must give it an incredible flavor.
Yeah, it does. They complement each other very, very well. I used to make a lot of these back in the day, and I still do now when I have people over for dinner. You've had
Oh,
it.
yeah.
It's also a great little, in the wintertime, it's a nice hot little hors d'oeuvre too. It just really, really feels good.
A little definitely goes a long way, though. You can
As you can see, what am I up to now?
almost a
8,
full
9,
pack.
yeah, 9, and I've only used probably about 2.5 ounces of sausage. But the great part is, if you have any left over, just make a patty and fry it up. And then, now, you do want to season it. And this is kind of important. You can do it either way. You can mix it in or sprinkle it on top. But you want to have black pepper, garlic, I like to put a little thyme in it, but sage is also good if you're a sage fan. And just for a little bit of spice, a little bit of heat, a little crushed red pepper. Now I sprinkle it on top like that because I like the aromatic when you cook it. You know, then it really comes out. And then the flavor's right there when you really bite into it. So anyways, we're going to cook these up in a little while.
What would you cook those at?
We would cook these, I would do like 375 for about 10 to 12 minutes.
Okay.
Just the only thing you want to make sure is if you have a thermometer, make sure the sausage is 160.
Okay.
Or you split it open, just make sure the sausage is cooked all the way through. That's the only thing. But it's quick, it's easy. You don't really, you can spray the bottom of a pan if you have to, but you don't really have to because the moisture from the mushrooms comes out, it doesn't stick.
Right.
Another little trick is if it's a problem, because some mushrooms, you can trim the bottom just a little bit, to make them flat.
So
I don't like to take it off
Right.
because I like the whole
that makes
meal,
sense.
but most of the time they'll stand up. But sometimes you get mushrooms that are a little rounder and they don't want to.
And also, if you're feeling ambitious, you don't have to throw the stems away. You could take the stems and make a mushroom soup with them, or there's other things you can grind those up, incorporate them into the mushroom stuffing.
Yep.
Where most people just throw them away. I throw them away a lot of the times.
Yeah.
You can always use all the food, and that is another great way to get more out of the mushroom.
Right.
Take the stems, make it into something else.
Yeah.
Or even put it right
No,
back
that's a
into
good
the
point. I
stuffing.
didn't think about that, but yeah, you can actually, if you stem them first, you can, if you put it in a food processor or chop it up very fine,
Right.
you can put it right back into the stuffing.
Yeah.
So, or like I said, there's a million different things you
Exactly.
can use mushrooms for. Especially the stems don't look that good, you know what I mean?
But they're packed with flavor.
They're packed with flavor.
Yes,
so if
they
you
are.
chop them up, you can put them in things. It really looks, like you said, soup, stuffings, anything.
Delicious.
Looks really good. All right, now I'm going to go put these in the oven at 375, and
I'll
I'm
start
going to
working
let
on the crab
Bryan
cakes.
start showing you the crab cakes.
Alrighty, so we're gonna do a Maryland-style crab cake, and being Italian in my family, for Christmas Eve, we always did the Feast of the Seven Fishes. We never did the 7 fishes. We do 7 different types of seafood, and the crab cakes was always a big hit in my house. So to do the crab cakes, we are going to start with some of our dry and wet ingredients to put into the bowl before we add the crab. I brought some measuring spoons. I like to add with the dry spices first. That way when I measure out the wet, I don't have to wash this in between. If I did the wet first, and then obviously you can't just stick it into the salt or your measuring spoon will get all gummed up. So I'm going to start with the salt. I'm doing a 1/4 teaspoon of salt right into the bowl. The pepper is just a pinch of pepper. And then we're going to go right into the Old Bay seasoning. This also gets 1 teaspoon. And this has a really great flavor and is used in a lot of seafoods dishes.
I think Old Bay's been around for 100 years.
Now for our first of our wet ingredients, we have Worcestershire sauce, or what's this here sauce, I like to call it. And we are going to be doing a teaspoon of that. One teaspoon of that. Then we have our Dijon mustard. I prefer Grey Poupon. You can use any Dijon. Grey Poupon's a little bit more expensive, but I do think it definitely has a better flavor. And you're doing 1.5 teaspoons of the Grey Poupon. Half. And then we are going to go into our mayo, which out of all the wet ingredients, it gets the most mayonnaise, and that is going to be 2.5 tablespoons. One, 2.5. So now that we got the wet ingredients in and our spices, we can add our fresh parsley, and we want to do about 1/4 cup of fresh parsley. I prefer a nice flat leaf Italian parsley. You can use curly, but curly is definitely more for garnishing, and the flat leaf is definitely more for flavor. So I always prefer cooking with the flat leaf. You just pick the leaves right off the stem. That'll be good like that. We're going to grab our knife, and we are going to chop it nice and fine.
You know, you really would be surprised what the difference of flavor is between curly parsley and Italian parsley. Brown parsley really does have a unique flavor.
It definitely is a big difference. Whenever I do any of our pasta salads or
Right.
anything like that, we're always using this stuff. So you get a nice chop on this, and you're going to just take this and you're going to throw it right into the bowl. Make sure I had pre-washed this. Always make sure you're washing any produce that you're getting. Always just good to be into the habit of washing anything. So that's going to go right into the bowl. Then we are going to take our lemon, and we're just going to do a little zest from our lemon right in here. We don't want to add the juice, because if you add the juice, it might make it too wet and your cakes won't mold well. But if you add the zest, you get that nice lemony flavor in there, and you hold your consistency nice. So we added the zest in there. Now we have 2 eggs. Crack those right in there. 1, 2. With this now, you're going to be taking a fork, and we're going to mix everything up that we have in this bowl. So just going back, we have mayo, Dijon, salt, pepper, Worcestershire, egg, Old Bay seasoning, and lemon zest. Now that that is all mixed up, we are ready for our last 2 ingredients. We have our lump crab meat. Lump's definitely the most expensive. You can use leg crab meat, you can use all of it, but if you want that nice presentation, you want the people to see that nice crab meat, and it's Christmas time and it's the holidays, right. I like to splurge a little bit. It comes right in 1-pound cans like this, and that's what we use in this recipe, 1 pound. So take your can opener, let's open this right up. Don't need to drain anything. But what is important when you're dealing with any shellfish or canned crab, just because it comes in a can does not mean that there's not a possibility
Yes.
of a bone or a cartilage or anything like that being in here. So when I dump it in here, I slightly just break it up with my fingers. When I say break it up, you don't want to mash it because you want to leave your crab meat nice and lump. But I'm kind of just breaking it apart from being in the can shape and feeling when I'm doing that to see if I feel anything hard. And I do not, which is great. Usually you won't. But let me tell you, if you're the person at the party that bites into the bone, you're not going to be happy.
Into the shell, yeah.
Into the shell, into the shell, excuse me.
Chipped your teeth
Yes,
off on the shell,
You're not
yeah.
going to be happy.
And I would caution you too. I know a lot of people at home, you have stand-up mixers and the little mixing bowls and stuff like that, which is okay for mixing this, but you want to be careful with that because you don't want to mash it into a pulp.
Technically, you want to fold this.
Yes, right.
Instead of really mixing it. So the final ingredient is our half cup of panko breadcrumb, and you're going to add that right in here. And now, like I said, I like to fold. Now you can use your hands, you can use a rubber spatula. I have gloves on, so I'm going to go right in with my hands and just slowly start folding this right over. And it's all going to come together. Jim, if you don't mind, you could turn that pan on for me and get a little oil in there so we can start getting that hot. So again,
I was going to say
these.
panko is the breadcrumbs you prefer for this recipe, or this recipe uses panko?
Yes.
Okay.
Now, I think panko inside the crab cake works very well. A lot of people take their crab cakes and they bread their crab cakes.
Right.
And then if you were going to do that, then I would suggest like a regular breadcrumb.
Right.
I'm not a fan of that personally. A lot of people love that and like that better. It's all a preference thing. But
I've seen a lot of people use crackers and stuff like that too, you know?
Exactly.
But I guess the panko's it's a little coarser, so it probably absorbs the flavor better.
All right, so now with this crab, I like to use an ice cream scoop or a cookie scoop, whatever you would call it. And you don't need to pack it down too much. You're just going to make one level scoop. And you're going to scoop it onto another pan. I'm using just a paper plate so I can keep the cleanup to a minimal and just throw this plate away when I'm done. And if you can hear the oil splattering, I must have had a little water in there when I cleaned it. And oil and water don't mix well, and that's the splatter right now. So when you do these, make sure you dry your pan well, and you will avoid that. So this is a decent sized scoop here. I believe I have a 3-ounce scoop in my hand. And from that 1 pound of crab, I'm able to get, and 2 of these would feed a person, but I'm able to get about 8 cakes out of that one. And again, you can go smaller on these if you want. If you're,
I was going to say, right? You could use almost like a tablespoon or two.
you could do anything you want. If you're, you want to make
just
a
little finger-sized ones you can do.
Exactly. Obviously, when you're doing that and cooking it, you got to be careful. It's going to cook quicker.
Right.
But yes, by all means, you want to save a little bit of money. You want to spread these out. You could go half the size. You could go a quarter of the size. It's just a matter of what you want.
Right.
So now I'm taking these, and again, I'm not really pushing. I'm just kind of molding them in a little bit. Yeah. Give me a hand right in there.
Yeah.
And then it looks like this oil's nice and hot. I'm going to turn that down just a little bit. And
not to get crazy, but I was just thinking, if you have a cookie cutter, like a Christmas tree cookie cutter thing, you could probably make shapes like that. Like little Christmas tree, crab cake Christmas trees.
You could. They are very delicate.
Yeah.
So it could be a little tricky for you. but it's definitely doable if you're careful. So we got about 5 in there right now, and that's going to be good enough to show you what we want. Maybe you can get this one more in here. So now I got my oil just before it was smoking, knowing that right when I drop all these cakes in, it's going to cool down the oil a lot.
Right.
So I got the oil nice and hot, put all the cakes in, and now it's important to keep an eye on the oil. You're not wanting to burn, but they're going to take about 2 minutes on each side. And we have a nice display. We have a tomato rose and our pepper garnish that Jim did. And if you went back to one of our previous shows, you showed him how to make those. So if you want to get fancy again for the holidays and want to also impress the people that are coming over with a little display as well, not just the crab cakes, look back in the previous episodes and you can make some tomato roses. All right, so now we are almost at about 2 minutes. So let's take a little peek under here. And as you can see, look at that nice golden brown. That's the color we're looking for. You flip that right over, and you're going to push the other side down. When you flip it over, it's okay to push the crab cake down and make it a little flatter. Again.
After you've got that nice crust on there, it's easy to do.
And there's a lot less chance of the cake falling apart because it's crusted up and it's holding its form a little bit better. Oh, yeah.
Now, you might think it's cooking awful quick, but the truth is, remember, is the egg, the only thing in there raw is the egg. So that's what's got to get cooked through. Everything else is already cooked. So it's nice and safe.
All right, so that's just going to finish off. I don't know if you want to take a look on how those mushrooms are coming out.
Yeah.
But these cakes have got about 2 more minutes, and if those
all
mushrooms
right, let me
are
go.
done,
Yeah, let me go check the mushrooms.
we can plate it all up. And now with these crab cakes, a nice tartar sauce would go really well with them. Or you can make any kind of aioli. But again, people love tartar sauce. You can make a quick one. If you wanted to make your own, you could do a little mayonnaise, relish, maybe a little chopped red onion and a little lemon juice, mix it all together, and you could have your own homemade tartar sauce to go with it. And little things like that, little sauces to accompany, just makes things.
We have some ready.
Oh yeah, you take that side, I'll put mine. Oh, those came up nice, huh?
Yeah. You see, they're nice and golden brown. Mushrooms are cooked nice.
All right, and let's see what this. And these got about 30 seconds left. And we'll plate those. I was just saying, a nice tartar sauce, any kind of aioli with the crab cake.
Yeah, remoulade, almost, almost anything really,
Right. And it's important too, as you can see, they look garnished on my plate, but fresh lemons to go with it is always really nice to have. All right, let's pull these babies off and see how they look. And we got this nice golden brown crust on these. They're just looking incredible. You can stack them for a nice presentation. And now you have a plate to bring to your families, put out to impress your family.
That is beautiful. Look at that. No, you're gonna have to cut one of those. We're gonna have to try that.
Let me get a glove here and let's try one right now. All right. There you go.
All right.
Cheers.
That's delicious.
So simple, so good. Home run every time.
You know, I know it's tough. Everybody's busy. It's hard to take the time to do stuff, but that's why we're trying to show you a couple simple things here you can do, and anybody can do this.
Right.
You know, and it's nice. It's good for the family. You know, it's good for everybody. Everybody's impressed. Everybody loves it.
Sometimes you think crab cakes, mushrooms. Oh my God!
Right.
It seems like so much work, but
Right.
in reality,
It's really
you've seen
not,
it right
yeah.
there. We
Yep.
did it in a half-hour
Yep.
episode. Did both of them for you.
Right, and you know, all the ingredients you've seen on the screen there. You know, you can all easy enough to find. And well, you know, up in McQuade's, come on up, and
Yep.
you know, and it's really nice for the holidays, I think. Anyways, you know, it's nice to show the family a little love, cook a little bit,
Yeah.
show the family and friends, you know, and show off your skills a little bit, you know,
Exactly.
show off those mad skills.
Love impressing people.
We got a busy holiday season coming up for us.
Yes, we do.
Again, always, but
We're always busy.
It's good, you know. I do got to make one shameless plug. My book, A Castle Christmas, I put extra copies up at McQuade's, all signed. It's a great book for Christmas time. Great time, any time of year, I think, but for Christmas, it's a great method. Think of it as a Hallmark movie in print. It's a great little book. They're up there. Grab a copy if you're up shopping.
Last second gift idea.
Yeah, it's great
Perfect.
for gifts,
Perfect.
you know, for the reader in your life or anybody really, you know. So anyways, we're going to wish you a very Merry Christmas, a very happy holidays, and hope that everything is joyous and wonderful in your life for this season. It's nice the pandemic's over. People are starting to get back together,
Enjoying
which is
each other's
sweet. Yeah,
company.
yeah.
Yes, it's
You're getting to
beautiful.
see the long-lost relatives and old friends and stuff, so it's great. All right? So that's Books and Beyond. I want to thank Bryan Yemma
Thank you for having me.
for coming again. Bryan will be back. We're going to be, I'm not
Hopefully
sure
doing
if,
once a month, maybe.
yeah, I'm not going to do, I'm not sure how many shows I got coming for the rest of this year, probably, but starting up in January, I got a great list of authors and people on, and then me and Bryan will come back once a month, once every 6 weeks at least, anyways.
Yeah,
and,
that sounds like a plan.
And do some shows. If you have anything that you want us to do, send me an email.
Leave a
right
comment.
in, and we'll do what we can for you.
Perfect.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Take care.